Hello, welcome to episode 221 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. From the year 1976, In the Realm of the Senses, directed by Japanese filmmaker Nagisa Oshima. Oh boy, it's one of those again. I can recall the memory of seeing most of my favorite films for the first time. That special feeling you get when a film entertains you in such a way or moves you in such a way that it's unforgettable. And you always can reach back into the depths of your mind and you can recapture that feeling again in some small part and make yourself feel the way you did back then, just by remembering that glorious moment when you first watched that film, when you first experienced it. And I'll never forget the first time I watched In the Realm of the Senses, which was today. This film moved me in a way that no film has ever moved me before. I wanted to vomit, and I'm not saying that for comedic effect. I literally wanted to vomit. I felt sick to my stomach. I was literally squirming in my chair watching this film. I was so happy, and I still am so happy that I've seen it and I never have to look at it again. And once this video is done, I never have to really talk about it again, though I'm sure that I will, and I'm sure that there'll be comments and I'll have to talk about that with you guys in the comments and stuff. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Anyway, In the Realm of the Senses. Oh man, and this is going to be one of those videos. It's not going to be a concise thing. This is going to be a ramble fest, and it's going to be all over the place. So here is the book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Although I've had this copy for so long now, it's just 1000 You Must See Before You Die. The movies has kind of faded away. If you can tell that it's still there. I can see it very vaguely. Look at the spine of that thing. That's what happens to have a book for 4 years plus. Anyway, I have the page open for the film itself. I'm going to read you the review of In the Realm of the Senses. And also a disclaimer for anyone who may be young. Turn the video off now. Anyone who doesn't like to kind of hear about very sexual things, turn the video off now, because we're going to start talking about this film. Yeah, it's an explicit movie and I'm going to have to talk about it to express my feelings on it. So yeah, so especially if you're under the age of 18 even, well 16 I'd say, just skip this video. You don't need to be watching this. Alright, Japan, 1936. A young prostitute, Sada, begins an affair with Kichizo, the husband of the brothel madam. The relationship is intense and highly physical. They have sex in a series of explicit scenes, often watched by third parties, geishas, serving women, other prostitutes. They play sex games. Sada putting items of food in her vagina before feeding them to her lover, and encouraging Kichizo to have sex with other partners, including an old woman who comes to sing to them. But Sada eventually grows jealous of Kichizo's continuing sexual relations with his wife, and threatens to cut off his penis. They begin to play asphyxiation games during sexual intercourse, and at last, with his encouragement, Sada strangles her lover, then castrates him. Oshima's film achieves an extraordinary level of erotic intimacy and physical frankness. For the first time in a picture not intended for the pornographic circuit, there are frequent shots of the erect male penis and scenes of fellatio. But Oshima also manages to convince us that this story of crazy love is a true manifestation of passion, taken to the ultimate extreme. The elegance of the director's mise-en-scène is a cool counterpoint to the sexual frenzy of the lovers. Well then, I had to look online. I had to see what people were saying about this film. You know, I tried to see what Roger Ebert had said about the film, and he'd only mentioned it in passing. He never really reviewed it. Leonard Maltin had called it pretentious. But I went to Letterboxd and saw a staggering number of 5-star reviews, and words like masterpiece getting thrown around, and, you know, perhaps one of the best films ever made. And granted, these are random comments on Letterboxd and could be very spurious, but I do not get it. I do not get it. It's a taste thing, for sure. And if I look at a film like Salo, which I hated, you know, which is worse? I feel like this film's worse for me personally. It was harder to watch. If I had to pick, gun to my head, I think I'd watch Salo rather than this. But I think this is a better film than Salo. There's some really nice, you know, cinematography, the framing, the composition, the close-ups, you know, there's a lot of good core filmmaking practices at play in the realm of the senses. Music at times is good, but and again, I read the review on Blu-ray.com. I mean, I was looking at reviews anywhere I could find them. And, you know, I find it strange how a lot of the reviews that I've read just seem to get things wrong. So we have, the film itself is set in 1936. It's about a woman called Sada who enters into a relationship with a guy. That's all you really need to know, is that she enters into a relationship with this guy. And one of the reviews that I read said that what makes this film interesting is that it flips the conventions of what you might expect, because Sada is the one who pursues the sexual relationship with this man. That's not the case. He practically forces himself on her. He sticks his hand up her kimono at the beginning of the film when they first meet. He calls her in because he wants her. She's very shy and retiring. He forces himself on her. Like, did I see a different film? Is there like an alternate cut? And then another person said on the Blu-ray.com review that for the first half of the film, we observe things from afar. And only then, once the relationship develops, do we truly move in on close-up and see the emotions on their face. That's bullshit. Like 20 minutes into the film, you see close-ups. I just feel like I saw a different film because it gets so praised and it gets so lauded for its, you know, for its political nature. You know, people going into the politics of this film and all these little things like, oh, there was a scene where she left him her kimono to wear, which is like wearing someone else's underwear in Japan. You know, it breaks down the cultural boundaries. It just... If you feel that way about the film, if you thought the film was great, if you're a fan of the film, it's a film, okay? So we don't need to fall out over it, but it was just abhorrent to me. And here's the reason why, and you might be wondering why. I'm almost 10 minutes into the fucking video and I haven't even talked about why this film made me feel sick to my stomach. Not even to my stomach, to my throat. It was like, you know, well, my teeth were almost swimming in vomit. Okay, so it's a very sexual film. The whole film is sex, and it's real. Unsimulated. It's pornographic, basically. It's porn. And, you know, Japan has that reputation being a little bit weird. And hey, people all over the world are weird when it comes to sex. It's not mutually exclusive to Japan. But there's some weird stuff in the film. But just the fact that it's unsimulated, is like, do we really need to see that close-up of her putting, you know, an erect penis inside her vagina? Does that add to the film? I don't think it does. You know, do we need to see her giving him a blowjob for real and, you know, to completion? I don't think we need to see that in a film. At least I don't think we need to see it done for real. It just brings me back to, very inappropriately, to the Laurence Olivier quote to Dustin Hoffman. It's like, why don't you just try acting? You know, like, it's like, by the standards of this film, where it's like, oh, it's so great because they do the sex for real. It's really showcasing sex and eroticism in the realm of cinema. Well, in that instance, surely a great romance film should be where the two actors actually fall in love with each other. They actually enter a relationship. You know, like, if you're going to go that method with it, you know, or if it's a, you know, a murder film, kill the actors, you know, like literally massacre people and, you know, film it, you know, if you want to be true to art, right? There's one thing in the film that really fucking pissed me off as well, and I'll get to that. But I mean, I find Salo more offensive in a way. There's more merit here, but at the same time, they both suffer from the same problems to me. They both have a lot of graphic content. In the case of In the Realm of the Senses, it's literal graphic content for real. But they're boring. Their characters are just... Well, in Salo, there's no characters. In the Realm for the Senses, and again, it's hard to kind of judge it on its own terms because I just watched Salo so recently, and they're easily comparable. Because of the graphic nature of the films, how controversial they were, and so on. They were both released within like a year of each other, but anyway. In the Realm of the Senses, I just need to collect my thoughts. They're all over the place at the minute. The synapses in my brain are firing off in all these different directions. There's just so much I could conceivably say about this film. Right, the sex stuff. Yes, unsimulated. Let me try just worm my way back into what the hell I was even talking about. Right, the characters. There are these two characters who are completely driven by lust, you know, and it's veiled over as love, and I don't think that works. And the interesting thing about this is that it's a true story, which is, I mean, I read up on the true story and it chilled me to my fucking core. Like, absolutely haunting, terrifying shit about this woman, Sada Abe, who had a few week long fling with this guy and was so in love with him, you know, in love, that she choked him to death while he slept because she didn't want to even think about the idea that he could ever be with another woman. You know, his penis belonged to her, basically. So the only way she could kind of free herself of this worry was to kill him. So she did that. She cut off his penis. She cut off his testicles. She wrote in blood across his chest. You know, this, again, just... And then she left. And for 4 days, she carried around with her his penis and his genitalia. And then the police got to her, and she was happy. You know, because no one would ever get to be with that guy again, you know, and he was the last, and he was hers. She went to prison for 5 years, was released, and the Japanese public had a lot of sympathy towards her. She became something of a, you know, a national treasure. What? The fuck? If that's not one of the most psychopathic things you've ever heard. And she got released after 5 years, and she wrote the book about it, of course, and everyone wanted to hear the story, you know, about how, you know, oh, this true love, where, you know, she had to kill him because, like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? And so people are making films about it, and absolute psychopath. And to be fair to the film, it paints it in that light, you know, it doesn't try and humanize this character. But therein lies the problem, because I don't care about the characters, you know. Name me a great film where all the characters are antagonists, you know. I mean, there's only really 2 characters in the film. You see a few characters here and there throughout, sprinkled here and there, and there's always people who are viewing them having sex, or like the servants and the maids will open the door and see them there naked and doing stuff. There's minor characters, but, you know, the 2 main characters are just deplorable. They're loathsome. You know, there's Sada, who is just a complete psychopath, and is so driven by lust that it makes me feel ill, you know, and it was just so annoying, you know, and her moaning was just so fucking grating. Just stop moaning for us, get off his dick for a second, seriously. That's all the film is. It's her just craving his penis constantly. You know, they even say in the film, they're like, oh, you know, people are getting uncomfortable with serving you because you've always got his dick in your mouth. And him, you know, Kiichi, he's just a cunt. He's just an abuser, a rapist, you know, and people talk about this film like it's this great love story. And it's this great passion piece, you know, the love. But do they ever, you know, talk about the fact that he raped this woman halfway through the film just because he felt like it and he was horny? No. You know, never see people kind of criticizing that about the film. There's a scene, and this is the one I really hated, where, and again, the editing I thought was quite poor, or even just the staging of everything, because the scenes are just so cut up. You know, it's like, okay, that scene's done, now we go to the next one. There's no linking. You know, you don't know where you are, you just, okay, they're somewhere else now. Okay, they're there now. And one of the worst parts was when a scene happened, and then all of a sudden we're in another building, another room, another time, another place, with Sada, and she's on her knees, and there's these two little 3-4-year-old kids running around naked, and she's kind of like chasing after them. And then we move to the next scene. Like, who are those kids? I have no idea. Why was that scene there? I have no idea. And then she grabs the little boy's penis and starts pulling at it. Like, for real, you know. Well, obviously she wasn't literally yanking it, but she grabbed the penis for real. This is a film, and apparently this shot was very controversial and was reinstated into the film in 2011. Great, you know, really glad that that part was in the film and kind of, you know, restored for all to see. What was the point of it? And why, you know, the fact that I watched a film where a grown woman grabbed and pulled at the penis of a literal young 3-4-year-old boy, it's just disgusting, you know. Not even looking into the implications of that kind of scene, it's just, no, why would you do that to a kid, you know, even if it's, oh, we're just playing, it's fun, it's just, is that abuse in real life? I don't know, because that's just very strange to me. You know, and I'm not going to get up on my high horse and stuff, but it was just very odd, and it really pissed me off because it just felt so unnecessary. You know, it didn't serve any purpose to the film, and I don't think even if it did, it shouldn't have happened. The adults, I guess they know what they're doing, but I mean, even then, I just odd. You know, and then again, there's a scene where a geisha is stripped nude, and they take some kind of this object, this dildo-like thing, and start sticking it up her vagina for real. You know, right there. Why did they need to do that for real? You know, you could have just had the shot of them holding it up and then going like this, you know, and shoot it from a side. You know, you could even do the you know, where you can go like that. You know, oh, my finger's going into my eye. See, yeah, you just do that. Shoot it from the side. No, we want a close up facing the vagina. We want to see it going inside. Why? Why are you doing that? For authenticity? That's bullshit to me. I don't think you should need to. Again, by that kind of mentality, then you should, you know, character in your film gets his arm cut off. The actor actually has his arm cut off. I don't, you know. Although, you know, the last video I just reviewed, The Battles of Narayama, and I was kind of praising the dedication of the lead actress to have her 4 front teeth removed for the sake of the part. But that's different, you know. You have to kind of judge it on a case-by-case basis. And in this sense, you know, I think that inserting things into your genitalia and stuff and engaging in sexual activity, you know, you should just be able to act that stuff, you know. It's an interesting one, and sex in film is something that I kind of struggle with because I find it to all be so unnecessary, you know. And yeah, you can say, oh well, you know, we all are driven by lust in some way, and you know, almost any guy would be lying if he said he didn't enjoy seeing the naked female form, and probably vice versa too. So in that sense, when you see a sex scene in a film, it's titillating. But I always think, what's the purpose here? You know, there's hardly ever any sex scene in a film that's there that makes you think, oh, that really added to the story, you know. I love it when a film starts to kind of show you two characters about to have sex, cuts to the next morning, and I'm like, great. We know what happened, you know, we have imaginations, we can use them if we want to. You don't need to show that. You know, I think Passengers, the recent, I'm going way off on a tangent, Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, they enter into this relationship and stuff, it becomes sexual. Okay, fair enough. And there's this shot of her crawling over his body while they're in bed. She's completely nude, and it's just like, did we need to see that? You know, we get it. They're having sex. You know. But in this case, in this film, I think it's just it's overboard. You know, and I feel like it's pretending to be this great statement on sex, and it's just it's almost cheap. It's almost too easy. You know. I mean, she's moaning there because she's really having sex, you know. There's no acting going on. There's scenes where, like, she's getting slapped around and stuff, and she's getting hit in the face, and I don't know, it just made me very uncomfortable, particularly the scene when she's putting food up her vagina and then feeding it to him, and, you know, and he's kind of, like, slopping it down. Oh, it's just disgusting. And then they show an extreme close-up of him inserting an egg into her vagina. Like, that pushed over. I'm feeling it coming back up again. Like, I don't know what it is. I have this weird thing where I feel like I need to see everything in a film to judge it, you know. So I watched it. And I was like, So, you know, maybe I saw like 70%. But I saw it. I saw an egg get put up her vagina, for fuck's sake. And then she has to kind of squat like a hen and squeeze it out. Oh! And then she stuffs it down his throat, and it's just, that's disgusting to me, you know. It's absolutely just vile. Just fucking disgusting. Oh my god. And if you get anything out of that, all the power to you. I'm not going to go into a frothing at the mouth rage rant about this one. You know, whatever. You know, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. To me, it just wasn't. It wasn't worth my time. The true story was fucking chilling. But ultimately, you just have a story of two characters having sex for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and at the end, she kills him, cuts off his dick and his balls, and there's blood everywhere. And that's it. You know, there's no. There's nothing to be gained from this, really, other than just pure exhibitionism on the part of the filmmaker, I think. It's just like, hey, look at what I can do by pushing the boundaries, you know. And apparently I had to ship the negatives off to France to develop them. And this film is still banned in Japan, as far as I'm aware. So even the Japanese were like, whoa there. Hang on just a second. Whereas France were just like, yep, bring it in. You know, we love that kind of stuff, you know. France were very accommodating to this film, apparently. So, yeah. What more can I say? What more can I say about the film? I hated it. I really did. It wasn't like the worst film I'd seen, you know. There was, I don't know, even the performances I didn't even like that much. Just the guy was just so lewd, and like he was laughing all the time, and it just made me feel ill. You know when, like, maybe if you've been bullied at school, or just someone that you've really disliked, or, you know, hated, I suppose. I hasten to use the word hate, truly, but if you think of someone who just drives you nuts, and then you see them laughing at something and having a good time, and it just makes you want to smack them in the face. That's what I felt about this character. So again, and she was just so annoying and psychopathic, and, you know, the idea that they were so in love. That wasn't love, that was lust. That was lust to the nth degree. And it didn't seem like he ever got pleasure out of anything. You know, it seemed like he enjoyed how obsessed she was with him. You know, he took some kind of perverse, you know, pride out of it. But he never seemed like he actually got any enjoyment out of it, you know. Maybe a perverse kind of joy. But it never seemed like he was, like, sexually pleased, you know. I mean, to get into it, you know. He never, in his face, you know, he's just more just kind of just looking at it and just like, yeah, you know. Like, this is good, you know, I'm enjoying this aspect. It just was very odd, and it's a film that's just so full of horrible characters, you know. And again, there's a scene where he sleeps with this 70-year-old woman, and when they're done, she's pissed all over him. Like... He sings a lot too. He sings, and it's in that kind of old-style Japanese kind of like, very very deep, kind of just droning, and it was annoying to begin with, but just how much I hated his character, it was unbearable. It was just like such a slog to sit through, you know. I'd rather watch Salo twice, but then again, maybe not, I don't know. Oh my god, I'm feeling lightheaded just even thinking about the film, and yeah, so it's, I don't know, man, I don't know. I feel like if I'd done a shot like I did with the Silo review, I'd be all over the place now, because I feel so depleted of just energy and just willingness to even go on today. It's just, yeah, it just... But hey, Asian cinema season has been full of so many amazing discoveries, so many fantastic films, genuinely. It was only right that I watched a complete stinker, because this one just... it's pornography disguised as art, as far as I'm concerned, and you might disagree. Fair enough. And again, like I said with the Salo review, you can argue till you're blue in the face if you want to leave a comment saying why I'm wrong or why I should be looking at it differently. You're not going to get anywhere. My mind is made up on this. I am intrigued to listen to the Tony Raines audio commentary. Apparently he gives a very informative commentary over the Criterion Blu-ray, but that would require purchasing the Criterion Blu-ray, and that's something I have no interest in doing whatsoever. So I'm intrigued to hear about the actors' side of it and what they thought about the film and the sex scenes in particular. I know the actress who played Sada. She worked as an actress for a few more years after this and then retired. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. You wonder if people have been exploited in stuff like this too. It just, I don't know. Even taking that off the table though, it didn't work for me, you know. And again, it's not like I'm such a prude where it's like, oh my god, you can see the penis going inside and everything, this is terrible. No, if this had compelling characters and a story that kind of made me root for them, it would be completely different. You look at Blue is the Warmest Color. That's a film that has very lengthy graphic sex scenes that are simulated, but nevertheless, and I feel like they go overboard in a way, but it doesn't bother me that much because the rest of the film is so gripping and I'm so involved in the characters. Yeah? That's the difference. And there's no kind of context for the most part in this film where as soon as they kind of hook up, 90% of the scenes of the film are just them having sex. There's no like day-to-day, there's no like, you know, you see bits and pieces of their life outside of their kind of, you know, day-long kind of get-togethers in hotels and stuff, but it's just them having sex. It purely focuses on that, and it doesn't give you a broader spectrum of their relationship at all in the slightest, to the point where, you know, there could have been scenes where they were actually talking about anything other than, you know, sex. But you don't see that. You just see the sex. You just see the obsession, and in that sense, you know, it does its job. It focuses on that sexual obsession and that lust, and captures it in a very striking way, but it's you know, that's all it really does. It doesn't do much more than that, and I can see merit in it for sure. Again, it's not a write-off, but to call it a masterpiece, to say that it's this kind of, you know, I mean, I've seen so many words and phrases online about this film that just stink of absolute horseshit to me. You know, they're just, nah, it's not great. It's not, you know, you can have your opinion on it, but yeah, anyway, so is it a film you should see before you die? Well, I think it's something that, you know, raises a good talking point. You know, I've seen In the Realm of the Senses, and I can either warn people about it, or I can tell them all about it, and it'll make for a good story that I've seen it, or it might make for a terrible story that I've seen it. So in that sense, I guess that, no, it's not a film you should ever see, let alone before you die, you know. Maybe after you're dead, you know. Maybe if you're a spirit and you've literally got nothing else to do, you spent a millennia kind of watching every film that ever existed, maybe, you know, you can check this one out. But apart from that, skip it.